This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnan, the podcast.
The first year of retirement is like the start of a long race. Some people hear the horn and they take off with a clear pace and, of course, a plan. Others, they kind of ease out of the blocks and constantly look over their shoulder, unsure how fast they really go, or in the case of retirement, how much you can actually spend. So how does income planning help someone set the right pace early, David, so that they're running with confidence instead of, second guessing every step?
That is a great analogy because retirement really is not a sprint. It's a long race, kind of like a marathon. And the first year can set the tone for the next 20, 25, 30, 35 years. The biggest mistake I see is that people retire with a pile of accounts, but not a paycheck system set up. They may have a 401k, IRAs, brokerage accounts. They have the Social Security options or an estimate. Maybe they have a pension, cash in the bank, but they don't know how those pieces are supposed to work together month by month, and that's pretty crucial. And so income planning helps answer the question retirees are really asking, which is how much can I safely spend without constantly worrying that I'm making a big mistake? And we get a lot of calls from people that reach out to us, and a lot of them have advisors, but they're more of investment-focused advisors, not comprehensive planning. And what they're seeking is the way to create a paycheck, an income distribution plan. And I always refer to that as a personalized strategic income distribution plan because there's a lot of variables that come into designing that plan. And when we do a retirement forecast, we are looking to see what problems might lie ahead with what they're presently doing. And a lot of things come to surface. We might determine that they're going to run out of money, or they're going to pay too much in taxes, or their yields aren't really at a level that they need to be without selling off things that might be market sensitive that they're investing in, that they're trying to create a paycheck. The article made an important point. The first year of retirement replaces the old paycheck with a new structure. So when you're working, your paycheck creates the discipline. In retirement, if you do not build that discipline intentionally, every withdrawal can feel emotional because people have a lot of uneasiness about taking money from their own plan or lack thereof. And so a good income plan should help determine what income is guaranteed, what income depends on the market, what accounts should be used first, how will your taxes be paid, how much cash should be available, how inflation should be addressed, what spending level is sustainable. Because a plan, when it's laid out, will give you validation of what you can do and spend and stress test it for different variables such as higher inflation, maybe higher taxes or out-of-pocket health care. These are the types of things that slowly over time can derail your retirement. So we want to make sure we know what your thresholds are for some of these variables that become more expensive. And the goal is not to scare people into spending less. In many cases, the goal is to give them permission to spend confidently. We worked with a couple a little while back. They retired with over $1 million between their IRA and 401k, but they were afraid to take even a modest monthly withdrawal. They kept saying, we don't want to run out of money. The problem was not that they lacked assets. The problem was they lacked a system that was based on their own numbers. And that's what I refer to as your personalized strategic income plan. So once we built their forecast, the retirement forecast, we'd show them how much would come from Social Security, and we helped them make that Social Security optimization decision because that is the first thing that we do. We do a Social Security optimization report. And that will indicate to us, based on the person's life expectancy and their age and their current benefits, what is the optimum timing and strategy to maximize a couple's joint lifetime income in retirement for Social Security. Because you want to make sure you make a good decision there. And then we build the retirement income plan around that. And so we looked at their cash reserves that they needed to keep aside just for the unexpected things and how withdrawals should be adjusted over time with inflation and some things that they had put in their budget or their wish list, such as taking trips, doing things with the grandchildren. So when we finished their plan, their stress level dropped because the decision was no longer should we take money out. It became this is the paycheck we designed for. And it validates that you can spend money. You can do the things you want. And the other key thing is you need to align your investments with your income plan. And we use alternative high yield fixed income options. We don't use bond funds. The yields are too low. There's too much interest rate risk there. And so we show people how to do things differently and access the types of things that the wealthy people use. And when we design a plan, we're mitigating a lot of different risk. It's not just market risk, it's interest rate risk and inflation risk and tax risk, because we're also going to look at ways to take money out tax efficiently. So you can see there's a lot of moving financial pieces to this plan that you want to be financially efficient in all your decisions so that the outcome is going to be very predictable and sustainable, and it gives people confidence to spend their money without the financial anxiety of doing otherwise, because that's what people live with. A lot of financial anxiety because they don't have a plan, and that's what is so important to have.
100%. You talk about the financial anxiety. Well, I mean, no kidding. You've been used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. And when you retire, the question is, okay, well, how do I know I'm going to have enough money? And, oh my gosh, it's costing this much to live because inflation. And, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It does cause some financial anxiety. I like how you talked about here, putting a retirement forecast together that's also going to allow you to put together that income plan. It's going to be custom, by the way, for our listeners today. Again, that's a personal strategic income plan. That phone number, 203-872-0009, 203-872-0009. That website, masteringyourwealthradio.com. We talk a lot about market risk in retirement, but what if the bigger threat is something even quieter? Morningstar asks Bill Bengen, the man behind the 4% withdrawal rule, if we should be worried about inflation right now.
It's a trend that's concerning. Inflation is the greatest enemy of retirees because it forces them to increase their withdrawals and therefore, damages their portfolios. So people need to be aware of the inflation trends. If inflation starts becoming like it did in the 1960s or 70s, where it was double digit for over a decade on average, then probably we're all going to have to cut back on our withdrawals substantially to preserve capital or else run out of money.
Yeah, running out of money, obviously the number one fear of retirement, inflation, also known as the silent killer there. So how should retirees be thinking about inflation risk, David, when it comes to their withdrawal strategy?
Inflation is one of the most dangerous risks in retirement because it does not usually feel like a crisis all at once. Kind of chips away at it slowly. A market correction gets everyone's attention, yet inflation is quieter. Groceries cost more, insurance costs more, utilities go up, property taxes, healthcare rises, and over time the same retirement paycheck buys less and less. And we've seen that quite quickly in the last few years, the last couple of years especially. And this is why a withdrawal strategy cannot be rigid. The old 4% rule is a helpful starting point for some folks, but it is not a personalized retirement income plan. It does not know your tax bracket, for one. It does not know your healthcare costs. It doesn't know whether your portfolio is down 18% when you are taking withdrawals. It doesn't know if you have a pension, rental income, or annuity income. So retirees need flexibility in their income planning. And if inflation rises, you may need to adjust it in several ways. Temporarily reduce discretionary spending. And I'm seeing that quite often when you go out to dinner today. And I know restaurant owners, and I'll ask them, how's business been lately? And they say, we've been down, way down for the last 2 years. Because I noticed that some of these restaurants, if you don't get there at 5 o'clock, you're not going to get in. I mean, there's a line there. And we went to an Italian restaurant a couple weekends ago on a Saturday night, and there wasn't a line. They did fill it up eventually, but it wasn't like the same time period a few years ago. And so people are not eating out as much. They're not traveling as much. And, some of the other things that people look to do is delay large purchases or revisit portfolio withdrawals, use cash reserves strategically, avoid selling depressed investments when possible, consider income sources that can reduce pressure on the portfolio. So some people need to review whether guaranteed income should play a larger role in their planning because that's predictable. It's not impacted by the market. And you can get some guaranteed income payouts that are pretty high distribution rates when we look at what the alternative is in investing in interest-sensitive tools like a CD or a money market. We can get much higher distribution rates than what those tools typically pay and have it lifetime. And so the important point is that inflation doesn't mean you panic. It means you need to manage it. And so that's why you have to have a strategic plan in place.
Yeah, you got to manage it, have a strategic plan in place, and most importantly, that plan is going to help navigate you, right? It's going to get you through the choppy waters. It's going to put you on another route if need be. This retirement income plan can be yours today. It's custom. It's tailored just for you. Everybody's retirement plan is different. Yours will be different as well, and it'll be custom to your wants, your needs, your desires. If you'd like to come in for this personal strategic income plan and, of course, this retirement forecast, call today, 203-872-0009. That's 203-872-0009. MasteringYourWealthRadio.com. All right, I love lists, right? I love making things simple. Here are the top 5 mistakes that you need to avoid if you are 5 years before retirement. David, I gave you a copy of this list. Give me some ideas here. What's your take on each of them?
The 5 years before retirement may be the most important planning window of someone's financial life. At that point, mistakes become harder to fix because there's less time to recover. The first mistake is trying to make up for lost time. I see this quite often, unfortunately. Some people realize they're behind and suddenly become too aggressive with how they invest their money. I just did a portfolio analysis for a radio listener a couple of months ago, and they want to retire in a couple of years, but they were heavily invested in the tech sector of the market. Now, they did pretty well up to this point, but it could change so quickly. And if that were to occur in the near future, that's going to change their ability to retire with the money they need. Right now, you can't get too greedy. And if you're that close to retirement and you have that vulnerability in your portfolio, which could drop 20, 30, 40, I mean, when techs drop, they can drop pretty quick. So right now we're going to restructure everything so we can put airbags on their money, still get opportunities that the market might present. But the other thing is we're going to have some safeguards, some hedging strategies so they don't get beat up right before they might retire. You know, people can't chase returns if they feel like they need to catch up, and you know, and you can't over concentrate in the market or do large Roth conversions without understanding the tax consequences when you're that close to retirement. And planning aggressively is different from investing recklessly. So, you know, you have to carefully make these decisions, in these different areas. You know, the second mistake is not prioritizing liquidity. You know, as retirement approaches, you need accessible money. You know, if every dollar is tied up in retirement accounts, annuities, real estate, or long-term investments, you may be forced to sell or withdraw at a bad time. So liquidity gives you options, and that's important to have. You have to have a bucket of liquidity. The third mistake is investing the way you always have. The strategy that helped you accumulate money may not be the right strategy once you need income from that money. We see this a lot, and that's why it's so crucial that people take advantage of our comprehensive portfolio investment analysis, because this will provide a lot of clarity as to how they're invested and whether, if in fact, it's aligning with their income planning benefits or their planning benefits in general. So retirement requires a shift from accumulation to distribution. That means it has to be measured differently in how you invest your money. The fourth mistake is not knowing your expenses. Many people will know their account balances, but they do not know what their lifestyle actually costs. And this is very evident when we do a comprehensive forecast. This is an exercise that people have to go through for us to see what their spending needs require and their lifestyle spending. And that is a major problem because retirement income planning starts with spending. And if the spending number is wrong, the whole forecast can be wrong. And then the fifth mistake is not knowing where the finish line is. You know, retirement's not just a number, it is a lifestyle. And when you do want to retire, where will you live? How much will you travel? What's on your bucket list? Will you help the children or grandchildren? Will you downsize? Will you keep working part-time? All these decisions affect your plan. And so we kind of want to bake it into your plan to see, all right, well, how does it look? What problems surface? And then what are the financial solutions to fix it? You know, it's got to be personalized.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com. Paycheck.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, BWA, a registered investment advisor and an affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and First Financial Planners are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BWA, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents.
Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.
David Gagnan and First Financial Planners are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.
Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interests of our clients and to make full disclosure of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure of the ADV 2A Item 4 for additional information.